And we're ready to begin with everyone.
Okay. 5:32 PM, we do have a quorum. We'll call this to order. And I'd ask invocation and a pledge led by Wesley Turner. First, go ahead. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You pray with me? Dear Lord, we'd like to thank you that we can come together today. Thank you for the country that we live in and the freedoms that we enjoy, which are so easily taken for granted. We ask that you would be with all our community members that need you in so many different ways. Just like to ask that you would have your hand on the proceedings here today. Just help us to be good stewards of the things that you have provided. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. We're now open the forum. We'll check the city secretary.
Well, Mayor, no one signed up to speak with them.
All right.
Oh. There's one. Oh, is it time? Sorry.
I'm now, you can go up now.
All right, there we go.
Child.
All right.
I
All
take
right.
that back, we do have, Yuri Huntington.
3 little minutes, everybody. I'm here. I'm tired. Okay, here we go. Hi, my name's Yuri Huntington, and I'm here to represent Arturo's Heart Foundation. It is a nonprofit that has been founded and incorporated here in Breckenridge, Texas. And our mission is to alleviate the suffering of those affected by suicide. And so I'm here in honor of my nephew and also in honor of this month's Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm here to represent, as an individual, as a citizen here in Breckenridge, Texas. Here in our city, we represent 33% of, or we are over 33% of the national rate of suicide. So here in our town, we have had many people affected. So essentially what that means, we have encountered a suicide here in this town every 6 months. And there's many things and many reasons why people want to end their life. And some of those reasons may be caused by people of ways of how they communicate to other people. And so here, as a representative of a city individual and someone who has founded a nonprofit based on a personal situation and trauma in my life, where my nephew died by suicide and had to endure a lot of type of comments on social media, people, and issues that he was going through. So I'm just here to say that in Breckenridge, Texas, again, we are 33% above the national rate of suicide. If we can do a change, if we can do something different, that difference might be something like saying something kind to one another. When there's an opportunity to give an opinion, I think the best thing for us to do is to take a step back and think about how this phrase might interrupt someone's way of thinking about themselves. And if we can express in loving ways and in kindness, I think we would be able to bring that percentage down of suicide rates. So I'm very passionate about this subject. I have seen it firsthand in my family, and I see it here in this town. So if we could gather together in unity, despite our differences, just to come to one purpose and say, let's care for humanity, and let's think about how we respond to people in person and on social media. I have cards here. I would love to give those out to anyone who is interested. I am here to promote brain health. There's a lot more that I can say, but I think I'm coming up at my 3 minutes. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mayor then Bob.
We'll go to the staff report and we'll turn it over to the city manager.
Okay, we've got our employee of the month, so if our fire chief, can come forward with our employee of the month, John Jackson.
Commissioners and Mayor. This month we've elected John Jackson, our employee of the month. He does represent the core values of the city of Breckenridge. And I want to say he excels at two of them in particular, not that he's not good at the other ones, but he's very knowledgeable. And he's responsible. I mean, we can always count him to show up for work. He never calls in sick. He's been here for 13 years and I can't say he's been sick once or twice ever, but I mean, he does a good job. He's steady when we don't have to worry about it. There he is, John Jackson, before his month.
Good job. All right, we'll go back to the city.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I did want to just give you a brief, after incident report that we had at our wastewater treatment plant, last week. We've seen several reports. I've been keeping you up to date. Just wanted to remind you, of course, we all know this, we have a fragile system all the way around, whether it's our wastewater treatment plant, our water treatment plant, our water lines, our sewer lines, our lift stations. The good news is we are doing quite a bit to address those. We've got $8 million of PWDB money, and those projects are mostly underway, and one of those on the agenda tonight as well. And then we have the next grant that is coming up, and that's $5.7 million. 4 million of which is a grant, and 1.7 is a low interest rate loan. So we are making progress. This is basically a maintenance issue that happened. The sludge line got clogged up. We had started Wednesday afternoon and Thursday. TCQ was on site throughout this incident. Thursday, we do our regular testing. Remember, we have a TCEQ permit that allows us to release effluent water from the plant. And so we do our regular testing on Thursday. So unfortunately, we had to fill the clarifier back up and do our testing. We were within permitted limits, and but then we have to drain the water to get to the sludge to be able to release the clog. So we did have to call in some contractors because our equipment and our staff didn't have capacity to do the job. I mean, if you've ever seen the clarifier, it's a huge round pit. So anyway, so we went through that. TCQ was on site. We did, out of abundance and caution, we did release an SSO, which is a sanitary sewer overflow. Technically, we were not required to do that, which entails a public notice, because any effluent that we release that is not in compliance, we just have to file a non-compliant report. But again, we wanted to be as forthcoming as we could, and so that's the route that we chose to go. The issue was resolved, and we got it unclogged, and I think that I just want to let you know, TCQ is again on site the entire time. There was no evidence of fish kills, is what they used to see the degree of the effluent that was released. And again, it was partially treated. There's a little bit of miscommunication because when we release partially treated, then in the process, we do treat it with chlorine. We don't treat an area with chlorine. So to be clear, we treat with cherry blossom, but because it was released from our pipe directly into the creek, there, again, out of abundance of caution, we did the ground around there, but we don't treat the water. So I just wanted to let you know. And again, we're still in conversation with TCQ, and we got the socks up there, and we did do some subsequent testing. We are waiting for those results, and we'll release those. The next thing I wanted to go over was our engagement survey results, citizens engagement survey. Since 3 years ago, we did the strategic planning every year we have been doing a citizen survey. We've done a few open houses as well, trying to get feedback on how, on what is important to them. And we do this in alignment with our budget. And because all the expenditures are in alignment with the budget. So this year, I will say, our responses were up. You can see they were up 139 to 70. And we always ask the same questions so we can kind of get a gauge of where we're at from year to year. So these are just some of the questions that we ask. We ask if you're a resident, a business owner, and you can see even though we had more responses, 139 to 70, I think the ratios were fairly similar across the board, really throughout. There's a few anomalies I will point out. If you want to go on to the next one. Again, this is pretty, you can see it's just purple, there's just more, but it's pretty similar to what it was the prior year. This one as well, and this is the age group. And then we ask if you have children under the age of 18 and here's one, I will say, the most convenient way to find out about city services, news and events. And we know, I mean, every year this has been Facebook has been the primary way that people find out, and we're very active on Facebook. Just as a reminder, I mean, 3 years ago when I got here, we had about 1,000 followers, and now we've got 3,600. So a lot more people are seeing. And what we try to do is we have a little bit of information, but the bulk of that information is found on our website. So we try to drive them to our website. On this one, you will see, word of mouth and website are closing the gap a little bit, which is good. So the second one is word of mouth, 39, and the third way to find out is website, and that's 35. And that's where we want people to go to our website because we keep it updated with a lot of good information. And then the importance, this was an interesting one. We had a lot of comments on infrastructure, obviously, but on streets. But then when you look at this one, the streets was a little bit lower. So that was kind of interesting as far as what's important to people. So that's something to note on that slide. And this one, again, I think it's pretty similar. How often do you attend city commission meetings? And we, it's either never, rarely, sometimes, usually, or always. And you can see, unfortunately, it's a lot of people not looking at the, what we're saying here. So we really, that's why, I mean, we started live streaming 3.5 years ago, and that does give them the opportunity to at least watch it from the comfort of their own home and popcorn, whatever else they want. So now we go through the departments, overall quality of services by Breckenridge Police Department and 911 dispatching. You can see they went down a little bit. And this is animal control services, and that went down a little bit over the prior year. Fire department went up a little bit, and public services went down. You can see these, and public works went down as well. One thing to note on these, I think, while we've talked about in-house asking the questions differently, and we still may do that for next year. It is important to keep in mind that the people that are responding are the people that we're reaching a demographic that is on Facebook, and not everybody is on Facebook. So it is important to keep that in mind. It's also important to keep in mind that, we all know that infrastructure is a challenge, and you guys have made that a big push. And the city has made that a big push. However, if people are not satisfied with that, then that's what is expressed here. I don't think, from the comments, I don't think it's an expression of the employees that are doing the job. This is development services. They went down a little bit as well, and code. And then we just ask a simple question, what are we doing well and what do we need to work on? And you can see the top 6, what are we doing well? Well, infrastructure improvements, so people are recognizing some of the things that we're doing. So that's good. Of course, we know that we still need to work on those things. City leadership and employees, and you can see those comments there. Economic development in the downtown area and beautification was included in that. Transparency and communication was number 4. Parks was number 5, and police, crime, and ACO kind of group those together. Those are the top 6. And when you look at the things that we need to work on, again, I don't think this is a surprise. We still need to work on infrastructure, and we'll be working on infrastructure for a very long time. Code and substandard buildings and economic development in downtown, lower utility bills and property tax, activities for kids, and that's been on there in the past as well. And though we have had a lot of improvements to our park, and the good news there is we did get the splash pad. So in about a year and a half, we'll have a splash pad out there that will be outside the gate, so it will be free to all. And then crime, getting rid of drugs. So that's our survey, and I think it's important to take note as we continue to talk about budgetary issues. And then I'll turn it over to the city secretary for events.
All right, well, our upcoming events for the month of May, from the 5th through the 9th this week, it is the municipal clerks week. So, yay me. And Lacey over here, the assistant city secretary. So anyway, the 5th through the 16th next week is National Police Week. So we'll be showing recognition to our police department. And on the 12th, we will have a special meeting to canvass the votes from the election on May 2nd. The 21st will be bulk pickup for residents. The 25th, city offices will be closed in observance of Memorial Day. And then the 15th or the 17th, the 23rd will also be showing recognition to our Public Works Department. So if everybody just kind of watch out for those different appreciation weeks, you know, it's important to the employees and the staff that they see the appreciation from the community and all the hard work that they do. The pool will also open on the 23rd of May, barring any issues with getting lifeguards or anything like that. But we are underway on that, and we hope we're getting close. So we'll have word out on that soon.
All right, thank you. We'll go to item consent agenda for 5. You guys are look at that right away for the last few times. A motion made on what each of you did.
We move to approve consent agenda items 4 through 5 as presented. I second.
Motion second, all in favor? All right, thank you. Action items, item 6. Discussion any action regarding the first reading of resolution 2026-11, approving the Breckenridge Economic Development Corporation projects for nearest courtyard yard. Go back to city manager.
So, Mayor and Commissioners, this is something that the EDC had approved and you all have approved. I think we just wanted to, this is amendment essentially that we're bringing forward to you and bringing clarity to what was agreed on. And really the only change with this amendment is when the building conveys to Neary's. And so instead of waiting until the end of the agreement, that building will convey to them now or upfront. And that's basically what you're seeing.
Questions? Motion?
I move to approve the first reading of resolution number 2026-11 as presented.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? No opposed, thank you. Item 7, discussion, any necessary action regarding approval of awarding a construction contract related to the TDB CWS RF project number 739 005 CID-02 phase 1, first collection system improvement project contingent upon TWDB approval.
Okay, so this is, and I'll invite, the engineers to come up, but this is basically, again, there's 5 TWDB projects. And this is for the lift station, and this is awarding the construction contract for the lift station improvements. Do you want to come up and speak to that?
Absolutely. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commission. As Cynthia referenced, this project relates to improvements for the main lift station and other supporting lift stations. Bids were advertised, and then on April 22nd, bids were opened. There were 4 bids submitted. The low bidder is Legacy Construction, the amount of $1,185,700. The good news is there are funds remaining from the Texas Water Development Board for wastewater system improvements. So that will be a follow-up approach with the city staff about addressing or identifying a scope to get approved by the Texas Water Development Board for another project for wastewater system improvements, likely at the wastewater treatment plant or screening at the main lift station. So I believe you have the information. You have the bid tabulation there. At this point in time, our recommendation is to award it to Legacy Construction. If you do award it, we will work with the Texas Water Development Board for concurrence. They have ultimate approval, but once that is concurred upon by the Texas Water Development Board, then we'll move forward with construction contracts. So that is our recommendation at this time. Questions?
Does this address every lift station or 50% of them or?
Yes, so there have been, as you know, the city has made improvements to the lift station over the last couple of years. And this will address any remaining items at those lift stations. Primarily focused at the lift station number 1, which is your largest one. That's where all the flow goes to. It will take the majority of the work and majority of the funds. But yes, funds in this contract will address the lift stations.
Well, and just so to also, and again, you did, but just a little bit more detail. So it was probably in 23 that we did about $250,000 of improvements to lift station 4, I believe. And then, as you know, the interim improvements that we were trying to dovetail with this project, we ended up, I mean, for all the different components of that, that was about $100,000.
So, yeah, so we're pretty much addressing all the issues that have happened in those lift stations, addressing those, fixing those, so our system will flow much better, no hindrances, stuff like that.
And really be on your lift stations, be more reliable.
Okay.
For improved electrical, and the SCADA reporting and all that.
Yeah.
It's just been years of those lift stations being in service and, kind of band-aided with available funds locally.
Yeah.
And it takes a pretty large project like this to go in and actually do those improvements to bring them up to current standards.
Okay.
If you go back through TCQ inspections, you added additional pumps and made these improvements to make sure that you maintain compliance.
Yeah.
But this is taking it to the next level, bringing them up to basically where they need to be today. So these are more substantial improvements that have been a long time coming. We've been applying for the funding for a long time.
Yeah.
Finally, it's in place, and here we go.
So everything that we are doing is now up to standard, up to the place where they need to be when it comes to TC.
And I want to say, you have been compliant, you have made those improvements, you've been compliant, but this is going in and replacing concrete, electrical, updating your wet wells, fencing. This is a more substantial level of improvement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
No other questions? A motion?
I move to award a construction contract related to the TWDB CWSRF project number 739005, the Legacy Construction LP as presented.
Motion second, all in favor? None opposed. Thank you, guys. Going on to item 8, discussion, any action regarding approval of construction contract change order 1 on the water system improvements project funded by Texas Water Development Board. TWSRF number 62913, CID-01, contingent upon agency of approval.
So just as a reminder, this is a change order basically on the water line improvements. And are you gonna come up and do, so, say if you wanna come on up, and talk about that, but this is ongoing right now, and I think the time, there's one, dollar amount, but I think the time is much more, we need to talk.
Correct. Looking at that change order document, this is with the city's contract with Radon Construction, for water system improvements, water line replacement. There's a couple of different things that are broken out there. This mainly adds additional time to that contract. The first element was there were some timing delays with getting the Texas Water Development Board to approve the contract. And I don't want to disparage the Texas Water Development Board. They're still the best funding agency out there to work with. But it has taken longer and longer to get some of these contracts approved. And so if you'll look, the first portion of this change order request adds 95 additional days that it took for the Texas Water Development Board to approve contracts. And so that delayed the contractor from starting. He had to go do additional projects, and by the time he could get over here, he was already behind on construction time. Now, there's another item, as you know, with a lot of the lines in town that have been struck by third parties, boring companies. The city had implemented a policy of no digging on Fridays or Saturdays. Well, that was not factored into the contractor's schedule, so you factor that over the length of the contract, that adds up to quite a few days. So we're adding additional time for that. And two, Taylor will probably speak to this, but it's been slow going. There's been a lot of unknown lines out there, as you can imagine. There's working in areas of town that are been there a long time. There's buried lines and lines tied in, and it's just taking the contractor quite a bit of time to go pothole, find where the lines are, and make these improvements. And so, in my engineering perspective, it's justifiable. That's why we're making this recommendation. And it is a total of 228 additional days to the contract. And then there have been 3 additional water service connections that he's asking for additional payment on. That's a total of $5,580. Beyond this change order, down the road, there will likely be another change order to rectify the quantities. We're gonna have some overages on some water lines, and we're gonna have some unders on some water lines and some connections. We'll true that up at the end of the project. But at this point in time, for this change order, it primarily adds additional days. All the support documentation is in your packet. But if you do approve, then it will go to the Texas Water Development Board for their concurrence. They will review it and then likely concur as well.
And I think the other thing I just wanted to highlight with this too is, we do have a lot of boil water notices, and that's because we do make sure that we report them all. So we're always in compliance with TCQ, and when there's a need for it, we do report it. I mean, the good news is that we have been able to get funding because of that. But it is also important to note, and we put this out on the website, we do have water lines that break and leak, and they're poor water lines. So we have that scenario a lot as well. But with everybody digging in town, with all the fiber companies digging, that's another reason that we have boil water notices. When they're changing over, anytime you lose pressure, when they're changing over on this project, you know, those ones that are more isolated, I mean, but it's a boil water notice. So it may seem like we're doing a lot of boil water notices, but they're not always because of a water leak, you know, bad water lines. It could be because contractors hit it, or because we're working on it and we're reconnecting. And we'll have that, I mean, Williams, I mean, that will be, it is slow going, as you said. So I just wanted to highlight.
Yeah, and one thing that we're finding, and we were somewhat aware of it, a lot of the valves in the system aren't operational. And so that makes isolating areas hard. We have built into this contract some inserter valves, where the contractor goes and taps the line to be able to kind of insert a new valve and then isolate, get the water off of the area that they're working. That's, a lot of that is built in, but there's also been some areas where we've had some unexpected occurrences of that, so likely we'll have to cover some of that in a change order, upcoming. But at this point in time, we're looking at mainly additional days and then those additional services. Any questions?
Just the fact that you go back when this was first started some years ago, and I keep going back to the 183 north, they started digging that water line up. And so most of us know this, ones that had been around and kept up with it, that old water line was over 100 years old. And so look at these others, there's no telling how old some of these are, so yeah.
I believe one of those fire hydrants had like a 1910 or 1908 date on it or something like that.
So it's easy to understand the time it takes to get this done. When it's through, it'll be great.
Be great.
Hey. Any other questions or anything? Not, we'll ask for a motion on that.
I move to approve change order number 1, TWDB DWSRF water line improvement project as presented and authorize the city manager to execute the documents. The second.
Motion second, all in favor? Item 9, discussion, any necessary action regarding approval of the fiscal year 2026-2027 annual audit engagement letter. We'll go back to city manager.
So you will see that we've got an engagement letter. It is with a different company. Our people that we've been using for the last several years for, well, I can't tell you what they told me. They're just having a hard time keeping up with the business that they have. So they had to make some hard decisions as to who they were going to continue on with. And they chose not to continue on with us. So this is a new company for us and an audit engagement letter. They're out of Wichita Falls. We called around to several cities in the area, and this one came back as a potential. They have a lot of experience. And apparently what the issue is, and of course we know this, but when you're doing, these are firms that also do private sector, they do public sector and private sector. When it comes to municipal governments, there's a lot of more regulations that they have to comply with when they do conduct these audits. So they're much more detail oriented than the work they do in the private sector. So you do see, just from the inventory I got and calling around and doing the research, you do see many companies that are choosing to emphasize private sector work that they have versus the public sector.
Questions on that?
Looking on the information that we have on this company, the packet, they are very detailed, they're very good at what they do.
Yeah.
And they have some time of experience.
And they, well, they like doing municipal work. I mean, it seems like the preponderance of their business is more on the local government side than the private side.
Motion?
I move to approve the MWH Group proposal for annual audit services as presented and authorize the city manager to execute the documents. I'll second.
Motion second, all in favor? Thank you, guys. Item 10, discussion, any action regarding the approval of the purchase of a generator for the WWTP.
So as you can see from the background information, we have been analyzing the condition of our generator really across the organization. The wastewater treatment plant existing generator, you can see from 1984 was purchased, used in 2017 or 2018. It is just not financially sound to invest money in fixing it. We just need to purchase one. So we went on. We got quotes from several, and you have them in your packet. And we went with the lowest and the best, and that's a Taylor Power System generator. You can see the specs there, 250 kilowatt, and you can see the price. This was budgeted for in our system improvements for the wastewater treatment plant. 103 fund.
I move to approve the purchase of a Taylor Power System generator as presented and authorize the city manager to execute the documents.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? None opposed, thank you. Item 11, discussion, any necessary action regarding approval of resolution 2026-12 for the purchase of an asphalt zipper for the street department.
So this is something that we've been talking with you about and letting you know that we were looking at a zipper. We had an old zipper, it was again purchased used and it hadn't been used in many years. But in looking at, we had a company come out, we looked at several different companies, we had a company come out, and put those pictures up there and do a demo for us. This is on Live Oak. And we have a lot of streets, they're inverted potholes, but where it's just pothole after pothole, or where basically where the asphalt has worn away and you can see what's remaining, there's the, asphalt on top. So there's a lot of streets that will be able to use with the zipper. It will take less material and less time and will save money by and large on this. So you can see taking it and that's where they did the demo. So these are going to do bigger areas. We do have some more pictures of some areas that were. These are just some other areas. This is on South Parks. Yeah. And I think there's West First on there as well. So these are the areas, and there's several more we could have, lots more pictures we could put up. But that's where the zipper will come in handy. And so it is being purchased on by board. The piece of equipment is $240,000. We are proposing that we would finance that over 5 years. The first year we don't have to payment, and so that's what we're looking at here. So it's basically going to be $55,948 annually for 5 years after this first year.
I remember you saying that it only takes 2 people to run it. So employee wise, we're able to do this while they're doing other things.
Right. And yes, like I said, we use less employees. We've got 5 people in our streets. And the bottom line is we're never going to be able to do the streets that we've used, like with radon. I mean, with our CO program that we have, 3 phases that we spent $7.4 million on streets in the last 3 years, we'll never be able to do that kind of work in-house. We don't have the capacity with 5 full-time staff. We'll always have to contract that out, but we'll definitely be able to make improvements to our city streets with the zipper. I mean, when you have one-off potholes, we're still gonna have that, but we've got a lot of streets that we'll be able to address with the zipper.
Well, I know.
By and large, it uses less asphalt. What you're doing, that zipper goes in and recycles the asphalt, the base. So then you've got a surface, and then you come over and lay the asphalt. You roll that out, then you put the asphalt and you roll that out as well. So
For the 8 years that I've been up here, that is the number one phone call that I've had, and I'm sure you all have too, because they come into me, I say, hey, call so-and-so down at the city office, so I know y'all been just covered up with them. So all you can say is this has been needed for such a long time. A long time.
I'm all for it, but quick question. Does interest start calculating from now or from the first payment date? We're deferring that first payment date.
I'll have to look, but I believe it's from the first payment date.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Great. And I'm all good.
All right. I move to approve resolution 2026-12 for the purchase of an asphalt zipper via HVAC by board and finance over 5 years as presented, and authorize the city manager to execute the documents.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? None opposed, thank you again. Item 12, discussion, any action regarding approval of vac trailer purchase for the Public Works Department.
Again, this is a purchase that we talked about that was coming up. We use the back truck many times a day. And so what this will do, The back truck is great, but this is a back trailer, and so it's more nimble. It will get into areas where the back truck can't get into. But it also allows us to split out our crews so they can work. And we use this for everything, almost everything. So again, this is a piece of equipment we got on buy board, so we're meeting the purchasing requirements. And you can see the other options that were there, but this is the one that we're recommending that we go with. You can see the specs there. It's 325 gallon, 74 horsepower, diesel.
Only thing I can say about it,
Now, and so I'm sorry, one other
Go
thing,
ahead.
I'm sorry. But this one, we are proposing that we use fund balance. So this will not be financed, this will be paid for out of our fund balance. And as a reminder, we have across all of our fund balances in general fund, water fund, and wastewater fund, we have right around 2 million. And keep in mind, 2 years ago, 4 years ago, we were looking at 200 to 500 in each of those funds in our fund balance. So we do want to have, the best practice is to have 4 to 6 months of operating expenses, which now we have in all 3 funds. And we still will have a little bit of room. So fund balance, we don't spend it, we spend it sparingly, we spend it on capital projects versus things that are gonna be recurring projects, and those are best practices. So this piece of equipment is 187,000. We'll take half from 102 and half from 103. So one is our collection is water, one's wastewater. Because we use it in both departments. Sorry, Meg.
well, what I was gonna say is, I think it's been years ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, that when we needed one, we didn't have one, and we had to uncle rent one from a city or wherever. And my gosh, that cost was unbelievable. So this has been needed for so long.
Well, and we did, even, it was 2 years ago, the one that we had, it broke down. And to fix it, it was gonna be almost 200,000. And so, at that time, we replaced it with a new one. It was a little less than 400,000. So.
Would it be good to have? Any other questions, remarks? Motion on that,
I
please.
move to approve the purchase of VACCon back trailer through CLS Equipment Co. Inc. Splitting costs equally from Fund 102 and Fund 103 as presented, and authorize the city manager to execute the documents. I'll second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. None opposed, thank you. Item 13, discussion, any action regarding approval of an ordinance 2026-09 of the city of Breckenridge, Texas, amending chapter 13 occupational license and regulations, the Breckenridge Code of Ordinance, by adding Article 1, sexually oriented businesses, to the established regulations regarding sexually oriented businesses, providing a penalty, providing a repealer and severability clauses, providing for publication and establishing an effective date.
So as you know, one of the things we're constantly doing is looking for gaps in our ordinances that are outdated, they need to be updated. This was a huge gap that we had. I would say 95% of Texas cities and maybe cities across the country have SOB ordinances. For whatever reason, we haven't had one. And so we just want to be proactive in getting this in place. They're pretty standard. There's been a lot of, there's certain ways that they have to be written, to meet federal statutes on regulation of these types of businesses. And so this has been well tested, and we're looking at things like saying, you gotta be away from churches and daycare centers and schools and things like that. So again, it's fairly standard, it's a big gap, and we're just being proactive in
Thoughts, questions?
I move to approve ordinance 2026-09 as presented.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor? Aye. None opposed, thank you. Item 14, discussion, any action regarding approval of an update to Stevens County MO and interlocal.
So Mayor and Commissioners, as you know, we've got several interlocals in Stevens County, and this one is a demo. This is kind of a three-way interlocal between the city, the county, and the EDC. And the EDC reimburses the county for demoing of homes. One of the things that this updates the demo agreement to allow when the county demos it and they take it out to our monofill, we're basically, they're gonna be covering it up too. We're required to cover it up by TCQ permit. And so we lost our capability in-house to do that. And so we have had to contract out for that. And so they're going to do it while they're on site. They've got the equipment and the manpower. And so this just pays them, this just states how much we will put in. Basically, it's $200 an hour. So when they take that debris out there, they cover it up with the dirt like they're supposed to, push it down, pack it down, cover it with dirt. They use equipment and their labor. We'll pay them just for the hours. We're updating that because it was a year. I think it's an annual agreement. So it's gonna be effective as of May 26th and the terms. Right. So it'll be today's date.
Call for questions? Motion then, please.
I move to approve the updated interlocal with Stevens County for the demo of dangerous buildings as presented.
Second.
Have a motion second, all in favor? Aye. None opposed, thank you. Item 15, discussion, any action regarding approval of a supplemental point of delivery agreement with the West Central Texas Municipal Water District.
So this is an issue that came to my attention several weeks ago regarding Breckenridge Country Club. And essentially what this supplemental agreement would update our point of delivery. They have been getting their water directly from the municipal water district. And the municipal water district, just like we do, they've got to charge a rate that is to a class of users. And so in updating that rate for the Breckenridge Country Club actually increased substantially. And so what we were looking at is solutions to keep the Breckenridge Country Club open and see how. But we're in the same thing. We have to do, we have to charge a rate that is to a class of users. And so what you have here is this agreement as the point of delivery with the municipal water district. There's two other issues to be aware of. The water that they take, Breckenridge Country Club takes, will now be come on our allotment for the water. And you can see in the background information, got the math from Brian Yates, who is here. He's the executive director for the West Central Texas Municipal Water District. But anyway, so that math, basically we're allowed 1,900 acre feet per year, which is equivalent to 619 million gallons. We currently use approximately 1,200 to 1,300 acre per feet per year, which is about 391 to 423 million gallons. Using that number as the top number, 423, we use approximately 68% of our allowable allocation. And so in 2025, they provided a use chart of what the BCC uses on historically. And in 2025, they used about an amount that represented about 2% of our annual use of 423, so the 68%. So but it is good to keep that in mind, that it will count against our allotment, but I think it's something we can handle. And then we are proposing the rate, which we will come back next month, with that update to our, fee schedule for the first reading and the second reading, June and July, and it would be effective in August. But basically, we are proposing that we would charge them the same rate that they were paying, which is 25 cents per 1,000 gallons, with a minimum of $138.90. And again, that will be addressed in our fee schedule rate change next month.
Call, question?
I move to approve the WCTMWD agreement as presented and authorize the city manager to execute the documents.
Second.
Have a second in the motion, all in favor? None opposed, all right. Item 16, discussion, any necessary action regarding approval of resolution 2026-13, appointing a director to the West Central Municipality Water District.
Well, as you know, we have two representatives that serve on that board. We just recently, last year, reappointed Scott Harris, who's a longtime member of that board, and I believe he's the chair.
He is now, he'll roll off.
Okay, and so, what I did, Will Thompson has to step down because obviously he's serving now as the county judge and he was our second. So he's in the middle of his term. We need you guys to, appoint somebody to complete his unexpired term, which would be 1 year of service. So there's three gentlemen there that we brought before you. Caleb Masters is actually here. He's a local realtor. He's currently in our our Citizens Academy for this year. So we kind of went to our Citizens Academy to get some ideas for people that would want to serve, and we contacted them and they were both willing to serve. So he's in the 26th class. John Powell is also a local resident. He was a graduate last year of our Citizens Academy. He is serving on our Board of Adjustment, so he is serving. Another individual is Jacob Cornwall, is also willing to serve. He's currently serving on our EDC board. So we just wanted to bring you three names for you guys to consider for replacement.
I have personally worked with Jacob Cornwall, and he's my vote, personally. As well as I believe Will Thompson's vote, who was the previous board seat. So that's what I'm going with.
On that, Jacob Cornwall.
Yes, sir.
Who you say now?
Jacob Cornwall.
I'm sorry.
Jacob Cornwall.
Okay.
How about the Cornwall also?
Yeah. I move to approve resolution 2026-13, appointing Jacob Cornwall to serve as director on the WCTMWD to fill the unexpired term set to expire May 31st, 2027 as presented.
Second. Have a motion, a second, all in favor? Aye. Right, guys. Okay, I'm gonna go down here to executive session pursuant to Texas Criminal Code, anointed chapter 551, subchapter D, Texas Open Meeting Act, the Act. City Commission will recess into executive session, close meeting to discuss the following. Consult with attorney, 551-071, 1 and 2. Consult with attorney regarding pending or anticipated litigation of a settlement offer, or on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the government body and of the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter 17, City of Breckenridge versus Acres Investments LLC, ETL, cause number CV 33796 in the 90th Judicial District Court of Stevens County, Texas. 18 personal information, investigation, I'm sorry. Real property, 551-072. Deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. Item 19, it'd be a 120 West Walker, West End, pardon me, I'm thinking. So it is 6:26. We will